All right, cramming for your econ exam? You have come to the right place. We're going to do a super fast blitz through two absolutely massive topics: the fundamental economic problem and, of course, how prices get decided. Let's just dive right in.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to tackle the why, the basic problem economics tries to solve. Then we'll look at the what a competitive market actually is, and we'll finish with the how all of this comes together to set prices. Then we'll run through some quick real-world examples to make sure it all sticks.
First up, the big why. Why does the whole field of economics even exist? Well, it really all boils down to answering one very simple question. Seriously, think about it for a second. Why can't you have every video game, every cool pair of trainers, and, I don't know, a lifetime supply of pizza? The answer to this question is the absolute bedrock of all economic thinking.
Okay, so because we can't have it all, we are constantly forced to make choices. And every single choice, well, it has a consequence.
The key word, and if you remember one thing, remember this, is scarcity. It's this fundamental clash, right, between our basically infinite wants and the very finite, limited resources we have to make them happen. So the key takeaway for your exam is this: scarcity forces choices. It's as simple as that.
And this idea of making choices leads us to another monster concept for your exams: opportunity cost. Right now, you're watching this, so your opportunity cost is the next best thing you could be doing. Maybe that's grabbing a snack. Maybe it's scrolling social media. It's the value of whatever you just gave up. And that is the real cost of any decision you make. You've probably heard this saying, and it sums it up perfectly. Even if someone hands you a free lunch, it's not truly free. It costs you your time you could have spent doing something else. So just remember, every choice has an opportunity cost. Nothing is ever really truly free.
Okay, so we've got this problem, scarcity, which forces us to choose. Now let's get to the what. What's one of the many ways societies deal with this whole problem? The answer: markets. And specifically, for our purposes, competitive markets.
So these are the key ingredients for what we call a perfectly competitive market. A great way to think about it is a big farmer's market. You've got tons of stalls, and they're all selling pretty much identical apples. Because there are so many buyers and sellers, no single farmer can just decide to jack up the price. If they do, you just walk to the next stall, right? This makes everyone in the market a price taker, not a price maker. And that's the ideal model we use to figure out how prices actually get set. Which brings us to the how. How does this market, with nobody officially in charge, actually land on a price for those apples? Well, it's basically a giant tug-of-war between two really powerful forces. On one side of the rope, you have demand. This is pretty intuitive. It's just how much of something people are willing and, importantly, able to buy. The fundamental rule to remember here is the law of demand. Generally, as the price goes down, the quantity people demand goes up. And on the other side of the rope, pulling back, is supply. This is the producer's side of the story. The rule here is basically the opposite. The law of supply says that as the price goes up, the quantity producers are willing to supply also goes up because, hey, they can make more profit. So what happens when the price is kind of wrong? Well, if the price is too high, you get a surplus. Think of the clearance rack at a clothing store. There's way more supply than demand, so they have to slash prices to get rid of it. But if the price is too low, you get a shortage. This is like when tickets for a huge concert sell out in seconds. There's way more demand than supply. This tells sellers they can probably raise the price. The market is always self-correcting through this constant push and pull. And eventually, all that pushing and pulling leads to this magic point: the equilibrium price. It is the absolute sweet spot where the amount sellers want to sell is exactly the same as the amount buyers want to buy. The market clears. There's no leftover stuff, no one's left wanting. And that price is pretty much the price you see on the tag in the store.
Okay, the theory is great and all, but applying it is how you really nail the exam. So let's run through a few quick-fire scenarios just to see how this stuff actually plays out.
First one, a massive heat wave hits. What happens? Well, suddenly, way more people want ice cream at any given price. That is a classic shift in demand. And the result? The price of ice cream is going to go up. Simple as that. Okay, next up, some new tech makes it way cheaper to harvest coffee beans. Now, producers can afford to sell more coffee at every price point. That's a shift in supply. And the result? The price of your morning latte, it goes down.
And last one, a huge celebrity is photographed wearing a specific brand of trainers. All of a sudden, everyone wants them.
tastes and preferences shift, and demand just explodes. At the old price, you'd have a massive shortage, so the new equilibrium price is going to be much, much higher. So let's pull all this together. Scarcity forces us to make choices. Every choice has an opportunity cost. And in competitive markets, this dance between supply and demand finds an equilibrium price that helps decide who gets what. We've seen how the machine works. But that leaves us with one final and much bigger question to think about. Just because the market finds a price, does that automatically mean that price is always fair?